Hello everybody, let's have a look today how to manage assets in an Easy8 mind to keep your projects under the control. Assets are nothing else than inputs or outputs from your processes like documents, a sort of architecture, quality plan, project plan, risk register, issue register, or even a related equipment, software, the evidence of your suppliers or employees. If you are purely agile and not controlling assets, so the life cycle and the quality of your delivered project could be very short or even poor. So we should manage assets. It means to keep not just only evidence and the proper life cycle, but to have adequate software as a storage of the assets, and then of course set the responsible person and to have an let's say sponsorship from the steering in order to have a proper asset management framework established. Methodology, of course, helps to better define assets and attributes, like, for example, PPMI or Prince2, or even more detailed and technical norms like ISO 26262. And today we will have a look directly into the system, into the free tips how to manage the assets in an Easy8 mind. I do have in front of me the project for the, let's say, development of the new radar technology to detect the flying devices. And then, of course, in that level, I have to manage the assets in order to keep the very high standard and have very high quality. The tip number one would be to use the predefined plugin, which is called the risk management. And it helps you to keep an evidence of the proper risks. Like, for example, here you can see the list, then categorization, probability, impact, status, or even the author, and then of course the responsible person afterwards in the classic list view, or then you can visualize it in the metrics table, which is, let's say, more indicating where is the problem and on what to focus on. So this is on the level of the concrete project. Of course, the benefit of that plugin is that it's centralized, so you can basically launch it and visualize all of the risks from all of the projects in a one page. So that would be, let's say, tip number one. Let's use the risk management plugin in order to keep an evidence of the risks assets. Another asset or another tip, what I would definitely recommend is to establish the evidence of the issues. So I have created a separated tab called issue register. And then it's nothing else than like a specific task type, which is called issue, with a specific custom fields, like, for example, impact assessment or closure notes. So those are the attributes which are defined by, for example, Prince2 methodology in order to keep the good evidence of the issues on the level of your project. So this is tip number two, like to keep it as a level of the task type, and then you can quite easily create a filter and then visualize it on that level. Tip number three would be more technical, and then if we are developing something like a radar for the flying devices, so then we should have the architecture for it. And then I have created also the task type, which is called architecture, because of the certain reasons. So if you hit on it, so then you can manage it as an asset. So the asset itself is called like architecture. So it's a task type architecture. Is that it has a status, it has a, let's say, assignee, like a responsible person, it has a priority, and then of course another custom fields which are, let's say, better defining that concrete asset. In this case, it would be like, for example, the asset for the analysis of the data infrastructure and the integrations for that particular architecture. And then plus you can even manage the workflow of this asset. So here you can see like a status, and then you can quite easily switch to the particular status which is just allowed for the concrete persons. So then you can keep the process that the approval mechanism is in place on the level of the concrete asset. Plus, now we are getting to the point. So if you're scrolling down in here, so here is a very important stuff. Here is a link towards to the knowledge base, another module which allows you to be keeping the not just only the simple text evidence, but you can hit on it, and then you are redirected to the particular architecture with diagrams, with like a more technical description. And then, of course, also on this level, if you're not satisfied with to keeping the evidence of the workflow on the level of the task type, so you can even use the workflow on the level of the concrete page. So then, just for inspiration, here you can hit on the start workflow, and then I will select the workflow like a group feedback. And in my case, I would like to select the group of the R&D persons who are responsible to review it, and then I will hit the start. And then it means that here is a message that the workflow is up and running, and I can even cross-check like the workflow itself, where is what's the status and who is the assignee, who is responsible for it. So there is a multiple options how to manage the assets in the Easy8 Mine with a predefined modules with let's say task type, which helps you to flexibly define your workflow over the assets. So feel free to use it.